Okay, that was painful. That
Let's
was
see.
absolutely painful.
Well, the thumbnail thing, you're supposed to smile at it, and then the camera's over here, and I'm trying not to look
It
at
took
us.
absolutely forever. It's like, how am I doing it? No, it turns out you're not doing it. So
Well,
whatever it is, it is. Hi,
So-
guys.
hi everyone.
Yeah, there's nobody here.
I know.
But it's kind of fun, this whole idea of, you're going live. Is there someone? No, not really. People could watch on the replay. You just don't know.
They could watch on the replay, and look at that.
You might even delete it, honestly.
Well,
Let's be
maybe.
fair. It might be deleted.
So, what do we want to talk about today? I hear fear is an interesting topic.
That was my suggestion.
Yeah, it's a good one. So yeah, I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to go outside my comfort zone, and I wanted to do a live because people haven't seen my face with the YouTube channel.
It's true.
Yeah, so trying not to look at me. Anyway, so fear is an interesting topic. A lot of people see fear as something that is bad,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know that it is. I think it's got some value to it. Obviously, we have fear instilled in us for an evolution purpose to survive, meaning don't run out on the street when there is a car coming. That is important.
Do you run if there's a saber-toothed tiger coming?
Yes, but if it's onto a highway, then what do you pick?
Good question. For next time, episode number 2, run or don't run.
Yeah.
Got it.
You know what I'm realizing, though? We didn't introduce ourselves.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Next.
Take
two. Hi, I'm Danay.
Hi, I'm Sheila.
And Sheila, where are we?
Where are we? We are in beautiful Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, at a lovely home with the trees behind us, birds song all around us. Hopefully not too many mosquitoes, but that we just thought could make for comic relief at some point if we start having to swat mosquitoes. So we are in fact live on YouTube. Still no one watching, just so that we're clear.
Yeah.
And doesn't that feel like safer?
Yeah.
It's a sense of
I
security.
wonder if
in
there's
fact.
no one watching because we have hit it or some way, shape, or form. But I don't know.
You're good. It says that it's live, so you gotta just believe it and know that at some point, someday, this could be in front of someone.
Yes, but I don't see a live notification here, so I wonder. Did we do it wrong?
Do you know how many lives have that of like, is this thing on?
Is this thing on? You know what? I'm gonna check.
All right, she's going to do the inevitable checking. So,
Well, you know.
in the meantime, for anyone who isn't familiar and is still watching after 3 minutes of absolute nothing and nonsense,
Oh look, we're live.
I told you. Yeah, here we are. So Danay and I are both intuitive coaches. And what does that mean? Nobody knows. It just means that we feel that we are embroiled and deep in the figuring out of life. And it feels so much fun that we want to actually work like with other people and hopefully be one step ahead or at least at about the same spot so that we can hold that evidence that, hey, you know what? This stuff works. And it's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, I just made sure we were live, so
There we go. We've checked it off the list. The inevitable, are we actually live?
we
test.
are live.
So
And I
taking the
did-
thumbnail 4 or 5 times, checking if we're live,
Yeah.
forgetting to introduce ourselves. 4 minutes in, still no content. Nothing of value.
What do you mean? We talked about the benefits of fear, and then talked about how if you were, well, fear has its benefit in the sense of an evolutionary state.
True.
But the way, where I was going to go until I realized that we actually didn't introduce ourselves, because it would be
Okay.
like, hi, I'm Brenda, and this is Shannon. I don't know.
So where was the content about fear? We're still waiting for the value. Just wait for it, people. Wait.
Well, you got to be 5 minutes in.
Okay. Good
So,
to know.
well, so I've got another, I don't know, 3 seconds.
Mental
to-
math.
yeah.
Don't worry, she's not coaching on mental math.
No, you said we were intuitive coaches.
I did.
So, fear. The idea here, for me personally, and we'll see what the lovely Sheila has to say. Hey, there's a person. Come, welcome, person.
2 people.
Well, no, one of them is me.
Oh. Okay. Thank you to the. You know what? She does this too. She clicks on our own links. Like, someone clicked the link. Oh, it was you. Why did you click the link? I got all excited.
I wonder who it is.
All
Comment in the chat.
Sure, absolutely. Say hi if there is a comment thing or a chat thing. We don't really know how YouTube works. So this is our learning curve. See how one step ahead. That's all it really takes.
Yes.
So.
And the idea is to go outside of your comfort zone.
True.
So, you know, Sheila made the excellent suggestion of talking about fear. This is Sheila, I'm Danay. If it's somebody who doesn't know us, but I suspect it's people who know us that are going to hop onto these calls.
Absolutely.
And just watch us banter about nothing.
They deserve at least a little something. So you were going to add something relevant about fear.
Fear, yes. So fear in itself, I think, is beneficial. And an interesting sort of thing that's coming to mind right now is that... Yes, Amy.
Amy is our champion, whether she wants to be or not. Hi, Amy. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah. Okay. I'm really gonna get... This is like one of those annoying infomercials. It's like, just
Pretty
wait.
much, yeah. Don't worry, we'll put a comment, like, don't even start watching until at least
like
7 minutes.
And at the 7-minute mark, we're gonna say, hi, I'm Danay, and this is Sheila.
All right. And still
Fear.
waiting. Don't worry, I am the better coach because I actually help people before the first 7 minutes of the session.
Hey, we have a comment here. Our one viewer said, this is so amazing. It's awesome. Thank you, Amy.
All right, don't worry, Amy. We'll send you your money later. Thanks for coming. Good. Thanks for showing up so early. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to continue. Fear is a beautiful thing. Now, just joining us, if you're just joining us, a recap, it's been 7 minutes of nothing except, you know, our own little stubblings. But I was talking about fear. Evolutionary fear, we understand it's beneficial. But what about fear that doesn't have to do with saving your life? Because being alive is important. We came here to live our lives. But if it's something like, back in my teaching days, teaching at university.
Just dropping in, she's a doctor, a university professor, but you know, let's move on.
A PhD, no biggie. Anyway, so I was talking about the fact that it makes sense that if a car is coming at you, or a saber-toothed tiger, that you run for your life and experience fear, and then the whole bodily, I'm going to use terms here, your sympathetic nervous system activates, yes, it's your fight or flight or freeze, depending on what type of person or animal you are. And that makes sense, but students or people will have, if they have a test coming up or a presentation or something that they're nervous about, they send themselves into the same response, the stress response. And by doing so, they create the same sort of scenario as you would if you were going to die.
Okay. So, Dr. Novoa, will you please speak to which one of those best describes your state right before we have this go live? Because I have words that could describe your behavior. I'm curious from your perspective.
People aren't supposed to know about the behind the scenes.
Of course, that's the only reason why anyone would watch this.
I was nervous, but I was very excited about, Sheila and I were talking about this for a couple of days. And, you know, Amy's really special because we're just talking to her and anybody watching the replay. But anyway, so I was nervous. Prior to the nervousness, I was excited.
Yes.
I was thinking to myself, it would be fun to go live. And, you know, once I put the announcement out that I was going live, clearly everyone got it. And then I realized, oh shit, I'm going live. Yeah. So
she got really cranky, very irritable.
I did not.
Yeah, there was a lot of, like, let's call it what it was. There was a lot of bitching about time. Like, are you gonna be ready? It's like, what do I have to do to be ready? Like, okay, don't worry, I will be ready. I was being supportive as best I could.
Yes.
So, and you did it.
I did it.
And, like, again, check it off the box. Triumph, first go live.
Yes.
Like, good, done.
Yeah.
Learned a lot.
But it's not done. Maybe somebody else will show up.
You know what? But starting is the hardest part, I think, honestly.
It is.
And you did do that. And you should feel proud of yourself.
I am. I'm very proud of myself. Yes. So, But I did not have the same response as I would if I was dying.
Okay. Well,
Or
then,
about
so
to die.
so maybe that extreme situation wasn't the best scenario, because I have another example. Tell our viewers about kayaking.
Kayaking.
Yeah.
Oh, this is an interesting one. So, I had a fear, not like a paralyzing fear, but a fear or nervousness. Hey, comment in the chat, person number 2.
Okay, so to recap, you've missed nothing. But we are talking about fear and allowing yourself to move past those fears to do things that don't feel comfortable. Like literally moving out of the comfort zone and just being open to see what happens and to experience what that event was, or that circumstance that felt like something that was just too much, too scary, fear of failure, whatever it is, whatever the fear might be of for the end result, and to try it anyway. And so to go back, doing a go live for Danay felt very scary. Just there are a lot of unknowns, right?
Yeah.
Well, how do you turn it off? How do you turn it on? What are you supposed to talk about? All the little things.
Who's going to show up?
Who's going to show up?
2
Apparently
people.
there's a thing about who's going to show up. So,
and I'm excited that 2 of you are here.
awesome. Yes, thank you. Welcome.
Mystery number 2.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So for the second situation, we were going to talk about something that recently happened where Danay is a very experienced canoeist. Is that the correct term, Doctor?
No idea.
one who canoes.
Yes.
And has a comfort level with that.
Yes.
A confidence, past experience, some skill, and the idea, though, of kayaking did not feel as friendly.
No. So I'll give you some backstory on it. And by you, I mean you, the viewers, whether now or in a future now moment, watching absolutely nothing.
And in the future, we'll have a talk about time and how it's irrelevant. But for now, let's just be in this moment, wherever this moment falls for you.
This is hilarious. Okay, so I did a trip back in May 2019 where I canoed about 200 kilometers. It took about 7 days, and I wasn't the only one doing this. It was in a group of friends. And during that experience, it was some people canoeing, some people kayaking. There was conversation about the differences between canoeing and kayaking. And, you know, one message I heard repeatedly, which is not a big scary thing, but I just didn't want it to happen, was the second you get into a kayak for the first time, that you fall over and get wet and, you know, nothing scary, but I was just like, no thanks. So they said it was just inevitable because you're not used to it. You don't have the proper balance. You may tip easily, all those things. So I just took it as these people have been kayaking with me for the past, however many 100 kilometers. And I went, cool. They know what they're talking about. I'm never kayaking. Hey, look, someone left.
Not surprised.
Yeah. They're not excited by it. That's totally fine. Anyway, so this is just for you, Amy, this whole time. Just to make you laugh. Anyway, so I ended up hopping into this experience as having a kayak fear, or fear of being in the kayak. So Sheila and I were camping recently, or glamping, and we had an opportunity to take a canoe out, and I was totally happy with it. And thank you for joining. Hey, Amy's enjoying this immensely. Thank you, Amy.
Okay, the story.
Yes. So I we went on the canoe. I'm very good at telling stories. We went on the canoe, and it was fun, and it was fine. And then the next day, she was like, well, let's go in the kayak. And I was like, no, thank you. Because what if I fall over? What if I have my phone? What if I ruin my hair? No, that wasn't a concern. So she somehow convinced me with her amazing coaching abilities.
It's true.
Hey!
Welcome!
Welcome, Alyssa! So she ended up convincing me to go into a kayak. And I left my phone away from danger. And I hopped into the kayak, and I went smoothly into the water, I went, what the hell? This is like canoeing.
Only easier. Let's be honest.
Well,
kayaking is easier than canoeing.
It is if it's not a heavy duty kayak. This must have been like a friendly
It was a
friend.
kayak. It was a
Okay,
regular kayak.
whatever. Yay for people joining. So comment in the chat. Anyways, we're talking about fear and facing fears. I had a fear about going live because I have not done it before. I played with it earlier. I sounded very awkward. And then we're talking about facing fears and my own experience of facing fears. And I got over my fear of kayaking. So, and I had a lot of fun. I kept going. So one of the interesting things that comes to mind with this experience is how much we listen to other people about fearful things.
It's true.
That we give people credit, and by all means, they may be experts, but they're not you, and they don't have your experience. So really what it comes down to is listening to your own feeling, your own body, your own intuition. Here's the information I have about X, Y, and Z, and here's how I feel about my own capabilities. Now, if I had not canoed at all and then hopped into a kayak, very simple thing, I could have fallen over because I wouldn't have had the orientation or body knowing of balancing in a boat-like structure on water. But I had done it for 7 days straight, however many years ago.
Back when she was young.
Yeah, well, yes. My younger days. Anyway, so it was interesting that I immediately, and these people are lovely, and they're very knowledgeable, and I, very, very experienced in long distance traveling. So that 200-kilometer, I don't know how many miles for those who are in America.
About 80, I think.
That's it?
But that's a lot.
Okay.
Okay, again, for those who are just joining us, math is not one of the things that she coaches, and that's a good thing.
I'm not a math coach.
Exactly.
Anyway, they were experts in their experience, and I successfully canoed many, many miles, many kilometers, and it changed me in a capacity that, from the experience with Sheila, in that, why do we listen to what people have to say about things that are fearful? And what is the purpose of it? Well-intentioned. Yes. Thank you, Alyssa. Boo math. Go kayaks. Got it. All right. So why do we listen? Why do we take it into consideration? Why are we giving people power over our own decisions? Why are we letting them control what we want to do? And it's well-intentioned by all means. So looking at this and seeing something as simplistic as facing your fear about going live, and having 5 people join. I am one of the people, so I won't count it as 6. But it was interesting because I got excited, then I got nervous, and the kayak story, I did the canoe trip. The kayak story is interesting because I listened to what they had to say. I didn't even try it at that time because I took their word as wisdom and gold, and I said, you're right. I probably will fall over. It's not something I want to do right now. So I didn't. And now I'm like, wow, how many years could I have been enjoying something like kayaking?
Yeah.
So,
and I was really proud of you because we went out together. Like, I had gone out on my own, and then when she came down to the lake, I said, oh yeah, I took the kayak up for a bit, and I was like, you went on your own? Like, you went in the kayak? He's like, yes, I went in the kayak. And so then she tried it with me. Like, they were individual, but we went together, and then she had so much confidence the next day she just went out on her own and tootled around for about an hour and took her phone. So released a lot of that fear and anxiety about the tipping, and even able to use the phone and take some pictures then too.
Nice.
So awesome. Welcome, Daniel. Nice to see you.
Yay, Daniel. We're talking about fear and why we choose to give people power based on following their advice about facing your fear or any sort of thing. The example we're using right now is...
Do we need to recap
For
every
every
time?
person? Yes.
Every time you see that someone's joined, we can't actually say anything new.
Inclusive.
We need to speak really slowly about the only thing we've managed to talk about in 20 minutes. Okay.
Well, for the first 15, nobody was there.
So I would like to take a slightly different perspective.
Yes, please do.
Because I think that our society adopts fear for many different reasons, and one of them is safety, of course. And parents will immediately go to the point of trying to keep their children alive, which is where we started. That it is trying to stay alive. But what happens then is you do get used to it. It becomes a habit. And I think that most things in our life that we do that don't feel good are usually because we've created habits. And then we're just not even thinking. We're not consciously creating any of our experiences. We're defaulting to the habit of how we were raised or what we expect society wants from us. And I don't know how many times that people will phrase things in that fearful way. You know, when you hear someone's going on vacation, oh, stay safe. Like, what? As opposed to have fun or enjoy the journey. No, everyone now defaults to stay safe. It's not something I enjoy. I love the aspect that was, it's well-meaning and well-intentioned, but to me, it's the wrong message. I think that now the doctor may have something to say about this, but I remember reading a study at one point that looked at parents who shout to children to hang on. So I don't know how they did this study, which actually could be funny to look up of, but apparently children who were up in a tree, if you said don't fall versus hang on, the people who are told don't fall tend to fall. Because they're hearing the message, but they're not actually able, we don't compute the negative part. And so if you ever do want someone to kind of stay safe, you are meant to focus on the positive of it, which I think is a great way of reframing those habits so that you're not focused always on the fear of the worst case scenario and the consequences, but focused on the powerful, empowered, positive things that can be there. And so that's a tact that I take. What do you think there?
Well,
Dr. Novoa?
Just to make it clear, PhD, not medical.
Right.
Anyways, and research focused. But yes, it's an interesting thing. There's an experience that happens. It's known as priming. That you can actually prime people to have a particular thought, and once they have that thought, it's like taking something off the back burner and putting it on the front burner, and that's all you think about. Like if I said don't think of a white bear, you're all thinking of a white bear now, and you're trying your best not to think of this bear that I've just indicated, but it's priming, so it's putting it out there. Now this study, I haven't seen or read it firsthand, but the way you describe it makes it seem like they were primed with you're going to fall, so don't fall, or primed with, hey, just hang on, you got this, right? Yay, more people. Welcome, Don. So yeah, the idea here is priming plays a big role in our lives. And people can prime us with fear. I made the mistake one day. Sheila travels a lot, so she will be traveling again in a few days. And I made the mistake one day of saying, have a safe flight. And then she gave me this entire lecture, and I went, my bad, I was just following societal conventions of saying, hey friend, travel safely. And then I was like, from that point on, I was like, happy flight. Have an amazing, fabulous journey. Stay alive.
Thank you. Thank you.
But it's true, because we're priming it. It's the same thing if somebody's driving somewhere and they're like, safe drive safely. And then I think, well, that was my goal. Like if you actually break it down and somebody said, drive safe, and it's like, what? Was I planning to do anything else?
Well, and that's where I get a little cheeky. It's like, well, and I have had some really crazy people, sign off emails or whatever. And I just think, what? It's so out of context, but it's become just part of the culture, which again, wonderful intentions. But what could change? What could be possible if we actually but what if we focused on the best case scenario? So I mean, Daniel's saying, well, isn't a safe flight positive? Of course it is, but to focus on the safe flight kind of ignites and activates the aspect that it might not be safe. So, and I mean, I guess you could say, well, if you say have a fun journey, you say, well, you're right, it might not be fun. It's that kind of leading with the assumption that something really bad could go wrong. So make sure you focus only on being safe. It just somehow to me activates that. So it's something that you could debate a long time. I'm definitely not saying it's wrong, and I've never been rude to anyone who said stay safe, but just that little part of me. And because I love the idea of what would it be like if we were more empowering for each other and focusing on all the things that are positive. Like when little kids don't have the fear, let's say of skiing, the best age to teach kids to downhill ski is when they're really little, because they don't have that fear of falling. They tumble, a foot or two down to the ground and they pop up again and they're okay. But if you try to teach an adult, they have a lot of, as you said, the priming, the feedback, like, well, what if I get hurt? What if I break a leg? What if I break an arm? And they immediately start creating these worst case scenarios. And that puts a lot of hesitation and fear into their learning. Whereas a child doesn't have all those preconceived ideas, and things tend to come a little bit easier. And yet we do, even if you're teaching them to ski, you'll often say like, oh, be careful, don't fall, or, you start so quickly because of the habits that we have. So if we keep focusing on the have fun, look at you, you're doing amazing. Are you enjoying this? And allowing the experience to unfold in a positive way. I mean, maybe they're not enjoying it, but allow them that opportunity to discover it, as opposed to doing it only from that fear-based, danger-filled idea. Because even travel for you in some ways has felt a little fearful, right? Like the unknown, well, what about this and what about that? Because you have in your mind these scenarios of things that could go wrong. Or what if I don't lock my car? Someone could steal it. Someone could steal something in the car. What if I don't, you couldn't leave. We went camping and, it was very important that things got locked up. And I said, we're camping. There's nobody around. Who's coming to take your phone out of the tent?
Everybody's getting some good insight about me.
Isn't it wonderful? And so, but it's so true. Now, could it happen? Of course it could. Is it sensible to lock up your belongings? Of course. But if it comes from just that fear and that super vibration of, I could turn my back and it could be gone and I could be lost and I wouldn't have it, that somehow doesn't seem like a really steady vibration.
No, you're right. And it to Daniel's comment, I like the way you answered it, but what it immediately brought to mind was the use of affirmations. And if an affirmation doesn't match where you currently are in the now moment that you're saying the affirmation, it's almost like it's highlighting the lack you feel. Yeah. So bringing in this whole thing, and like money comes to mind. Like a lot of people like to have money. Who doesn't? But if it's like, money flows in and out of my life freely in a myriad of ways and all these things, it's best to go general with things like this, because if you have any lack associated with prosperity or abundance or whatever it may be, you're honing into that frequency. That tuning fork is saying, oh, this is the money area. Here's the vibrational frequency of where you're at with money. To go back with the idea of a safe flight, if you say that to somebody who has no sort of hesitation with flying, and my hesitation is on the administrative side of flying. It's not even the actual flight. I'm like, let me just go to the airport and suddenly materialize in the plane and I'm fine. Yeah. All the red tape stuff, anxiety.
Yeah. Which line to do this? Should we ask them about that? Like, no, let's just walk over.
Anyway.
A lot of clarity.
But
clarity does feel good.
Yes. And, everybody, just because I channel, just because I'm an intuitive coach, just because I have these things, doesn't mean I don't have my own battles. And people who know me based on the communities I've been part of, they know that I'm quite forthcoming about these experiences. So when looking at it, if you say to somebody, hey, have a safe flight, and they are solid in the administrative, the actual flight, and whatever may be, that's going to be perfect for them. But if they have any inkling or part of them that doesn't feel safe, then that vibration gets triggered.
Oh yeah.
So there's no issue in how it's said or who says it, or whatever it may be. It's who's receiving it. And obviously, big message across all sort of wisdom and such that's out there is, if you're triggered by something, go inward, because it's about you. And figure out why that trigger is there. What's what I like to call the weed of the matter. What's the core? And safety is a big one. Safety is one of the pillars. So this whole idea, I love being positive in a sort of forthcoming, what's the best possible outcome? Because then it's less likely, I think, in these circumstances to trigger anything in the receiver. Have a wonderful, exciting flight, and not turbulent.
Well, and that's it. It's because I find so often people's vibration it can, like, they'll bring back all their experiences. Oh, I remember the last time I was on that plane, it was so bad. And you just think, why would you tell me that?
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I was just thinking good thoughts of like, doo-doo-doo, can't wait, gonna get there at 9:30 and I'm excited about who I'm gonna see. And it's like, oh, but what about this? And make sure. But my mom is the best. Like, do you have snacks? Is there gonna be food available? I've heard about those long lineups. You got to get there super early. It's like, oh my word! Like, I was just gonna have this great time, and now I have to have a checklist of things to worry about. And so this maybe not the fear part so much, but for her it comes from fear, and because she's worried about all the things that could go wrong during travel, and so she's choosing not to travel because of all of these things that she hears about on the news, or someone has a story to tell her, and so of course she passes that on to me. And it is funny, I think, just of how that tends to be kind of the touchstone for people of what is the worst possible case, or what's the thing that they've heard in the news, and then basing everything on that, as opposed to everything's working out perfectly, everything is happening for me. Isn't it great that we can have experiences? And honestly, I do travel a lot, and I don't experience lines at airports because I choose to think travel is easy. Travel can go smoothly. Travel is fun. And if I'm in somewhere that's a bit of a lineup, usually it's the food places longer than security or anything. I just think, isn't it nice that I get to have this bit of a downtime and nowhere to be, nothing to do? Maybe I talk to someone in line. Maybe I just look around and people watch. Like, there's so much advantage that can be there, as opposed to this fear mongering of, oh, I've heard there's long lineups everywhere. Well, it's going to be what you want it to be.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Exactly. But this brings us back to the comment earlier about accepting other people's perception about fear. Well, in the kayak experience, for those who weren't here at the time, all three of you.
Okay, she's not going to start from the beginning. She promises.
No. What I was just going to say is, somebody told me the first time you get into a kayak, it tips. And I took that as truth. And so I never went into a kayak, because Anyway, now it brings up another point, because that person wasn't fearful in sharing their advice with me. But what Sheila's talking about is actually other people's fears almost being contagious in some way.
Yeah.
So you were immune.
Well, for those particular things, I wasn't vibrating at anything. It wasn't kind of landing anywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas I think with your kayak one, you felt secure about the canoe because you'd had training and some experience, but you knew that the possibility of falling in could be there for you, and then that didn't feel good.
Yes. It didn't feel good, but again, it was a minor fear. It was like more of an inconvenience.
Sure, well, that's it. You don't want to be wet, and now everything's soaking and blah, blah, blah.
And also, I don't want to be embarrassed.
True.
Fear.
That's actually a really big fear as well,
It's a fascinating thing. We're social creatures, and as such, we care about what other people think of us. And that creates fear. We started the first 10 minutes of this at least. I don't know what time Amy joined at, but sweet bless your soul, Amy. We were talking to nobody. Yeah. And inside I was like, don't panic. you're just, well, I'm not talking to nobody. I'm talking to Sheila. Now, that's interesting. Had I done a live by myself,
Yeah.
completely different. I would have been like,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah.
But there's a whole thing. Sheila and I have these conversations all the time. Just random sort of facts about, you know, what the role of fear is, or why do we listen to what other people say,
Yeah.
or how do we expand more, and all these things. So it's interesting that it brings it kind of full circle to this idea that all we want to do is vibrate at the frequency that feels best for us.
Yeah.
But while we're doing it, it's almost like we're, I'm going to use some weird scenario coming to mind, batting away, we're going to say bugs, maybe mosquitoes, which is like, you know, all the things, you know, people are saying, you know, don't go here, it's scary. Don't walk at night, it's scary. Planes, you know, they're not safe.
Always lock your front door, to Amy's example.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always
make
lock
sure
your front door and then have your mom call a locksmith so that she can get back in. Or, you know, take care of your belongings. Your valuables should be locked up. Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
They're stories that we're receiving, and our goal here. Oh, good. She was 3 minutes in, so we weren't completely sad. But the idea here is you're vibing at whatever frequency, and we've talked about, you know, when I've channeled about particular things, there's an example of like a drop of water into another pool of water, and it ripples out. So every time you have a thought, an emotion, whatever it may be, you like pulse out this wave from you, kind of like that ripple. And as you pulse it out, it's almost like you're bringing back in that same frequency. Now, if you, while you had pulsed it out, and then as it returns, elevated or decreased in some capacity, you're not there to receive it when it comes back. So 37 minutes in, I'm saying gold.
Actually, I'm a bit confused, so I'm hoping that you're elaborating soon.
Yes. So, well, like the boomerang effect. People like the boomerang because they know it comes back. So you throw a boomerang. Here's my thought. Like, let's pick a thought here. Kayaks are dangerous, and I whip that out.
Sure.
And I'm at the fear frequency. Now, when that boomerang returns, if I'm still at the fear frequency, that boomerang is going to hit me in the head. I.e., I'm going to have something that validates my thought or
you see
feeling.
Evidence of it, for sure.
Yes.
You draw it to yourself.
And the rippling out is the idea that you put a drop of water and it ripples out, and then envision it returning because of the law of attraction.
Yeah.
So, yay! Yeah, I did invite people. I wanted to make sure that at least one person showed up. So thanks, Amy. And all of you that are here. So this idea of the boomerang being whipped out, you know, kayaks are dangerous. Then it ripples back, or, you know, boomerangs back. If I've elevated my frequency, that story, that frequency is no longer a vibrational match.
Yeah.
And because it's not a vibrational match, I'm not going to see evidence of it.
Yeah.
But the thing is we're like shifting all throughout our vibrational frequency. It happens all the time. And when we're shifting, it's kind of like being in a building and hitting multiple floors in the elevator and saying, okay, well, at the frequency I'm at floor 5, I'm going to post out this thought, this emotion. Oh, suddenly, you know, I won $5. You know, I'm going to switch to a different frequency. Or, you know, a friend of mine said something nice to me, and then maybe I'll rise up to a higher level. Or, you know, someone offered me food, so I'm on the penthouse. You know, all these things. So whatever I was pulsing out, when I'm flying real high, so I'm on the roof of a building or a penthouse or whatever it may be, and I pulse out whatever thoughts, like, I feel great. It doesn't even have to have a desire. I feel great. And then the universe says, what frequency matches I feel great?
Yeah. Let's
bring that in. And you get the evidence if you're at that level when it returns.
Yeah.
Now that brings in a conversation about time, which we don't need to actually get into. But there's this idea that when you release or express some sort of desire, that you are going to get it immediately, but you have to be at that frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So the time comes into play. In my opinion, this will continue to evolve as I continue to understand things. Um, Time is one of those things that is created, I think, and this is me just kind of flowing right now. It's created in a sense that when we shift out of that frequency, the original frequency state, and where we, you know, expressed whatever it was we expressed, we're not matching it, and it's hovering there, waiting for your return. And when you get back up there, time has passed, and then you suddenly get this thing. So you're like, oh, you know, I sent out a desire for $20, and then, you know, I stubbed my toe and I left that frequency, and then, you know, someone told me a joke and I laughed, and I came back up to that frequency and I found $20 or whatever it is. And I think that kind of creates the illusion of time in this, you know, now moment to now moment, not being linear, but being more of one now moment, then one now moment at one particular frequency, the next now moment at that same frequency or another one. And then it just kind of strings together. So the idea is, wherever you're rippling this out, this live might end.
The mosquitoes are coming, so it's good timing.
Anyways, so having this sort of experience of fear, because wanting to bring it back full circle, you're at a frequency when you're in fear. And if your fear is then adopted from someone else's fear, or adopted from someone else's perspective, that's you saying, I'm allowing it in. I'm allowing this fear to become part of me in some capacity. You send the boomerang or ripple out the energetic pulse. And from there, I love mosquitoes. From there, you get this whole sort of experience that it then becomes your reality because you've accepted it. It's like somebody sending you a telegram that says, you must be afraid of this. And you say, yes, indeed. So,
she had to get the word indeed in. It was somehow this dare, because she says it all the time. And it's, yes, indubitably, one does need to do that.
Indeed. Anyway, yay! I'm just gonna say yay every time the number goes up. Oh, wah wah. Anyway, so going back to this idea, you have a choice as a human being on this lovely, beautiful existence. Oh my God, Tabitha, go to bed.
She's getting up tomorrow already.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. It's all about fear. So, yes. Anyways. Oh, now they're in my ear. I love it. All right. So, please, frequency, change, shift. Sheila, you talk now.
Welcoming the mosquito bites that we got when we were camping, enjoying them so much, and possibly welcoming some more.
Yes.
I think that it's the universe saying that we've probably talked more than enough. Yes. Yeah. What was the point of doing this go live? Let's just recap for everyone who's here now. Number one, Danay had some fear about doing it.
Yes.
For many different reasons. And this was just a great opportunity to say, hey, let's just try it. No big deal. It'll be fun. Let's see if we can have some fun.
Yes.
And let's let it play out. And because so often, such as with the kayak story, once you try it, you think, oh, well, now I have the experience for myself. And now I know what I think about it based on my own experience. This was not that difficult. I'm sure you'll do it again.
Yes.
Possibly inside, or at least with some bug spray on next time. That's
Indeed.
all right. And don't even make me do it again. That's just me mocking her for using Indeed often, sounding like, I don't know, an encyclopedia.
Yes.
So here we are. And we have been having a lot of really fun, expansive conversations and throughout like months now, right? Where we we talk about the craziest things. It's why we have been doing courses together. It's why we've been supporting each other on our own private calls and sending each other clients, because we're just having so much fun with this whole experience of asking ridiculous questions and seeing what the other person has to offer, and to be able to rebut each other and go, like, as you may have noticed, Danay can talk for a really long time and it sounds really good. And I can just say, I have no idea what you just said. None of that made sense to me. Here's what I think about it. And neither of us are wrong. Neither of us might be right either.
No.
But we have a really fun time talking about it. So it is. It's a lot of fun. And so, did you want to talk about the course at all? This is not a sales thing, but we are having a fun time, and we are starting on Sunday a course because we're going to make it a channeled as well as an integration piece where we can offer our perspective on, this time it happens to be prosperity, another time it might be something else, because we both know that we want to be open to the flow of energy of all kinds, including money in our life. And we have had so many juicy conversations and having lots of great insights about how it's not about the money. And so that's why we wanted to share it with other people. So we're going to have a lot of juicy conversations with those who join us on the Sundays and the Wednesdays for the next 3 weeks. And we might do more lives like this, perhaps some shorter ones with the timer, so that we don't talk for 45 minutes. But you never know.
It's pure gold. Anybody watching the replay is going to be like,
we've got 2 thumbs up. So what could we really expect anymore? Thank you to all of you.
Everyone is 1, so that 2 is billions.
Thank you. You represented billions just by being here.
Yes, you did. All 8 or 9 of you. Yes, see, Tabitha makes a good point.
That's true.
Because, we talk long, it allows everyone to finally go, oh, this is what is happening. There's some sort of live. We are going to do this again before you leave. I think it's fun. Yeah,
for sure.
But the idea here is, so that I round it out really nicely.
Yes, thank you.
We'll be putting our links in the description of this live. Maybe I'll edit the first 30 seconds. No, I'm going to keep it because it's fun to keep things like,
well, it's
candid.
Real. We're real people, right?
We are
like,
real people.
we've got fears, and we do a whole bunch of things wrong, and like, just who cares? This is why we came. We're having fun.
Yes.
We're playing with life.
We are indeed.
Oh my God. I'm gonna start like flicking her every time she does it.
Then she will prime me with the fear of being flicked every time I say indeed.
I'll do my best.
Okay, so I want to round this out because I don't want to leave, the viewers,
of course,
who then stop after 11 minutes going, what the heck?
That's true. That's true. We'll just say skip to 45 minutes in
to get the whole reason why we did this.
No, it was
no. The whole reason why we did this was legitimately to allow people to see how fun it is to be part of our conversations, and for me to go outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I don't think Sheila was scared at all.
No.
And for me to get more comfortable with being out there. Many of you know that I have this sort of fear and discomfort with being more public. So I wanted to do this, I got excited, and then once I did it, I went, oh shit.
She did. She got really grumpy.
I did not. Anyway, when it comes to fear, figure out if the fear is, does it save my life? Does it keep me alive? Because that's important.
Yeah.
So, cars, bad. Bad in a sense, like, don't run in front of one. When it comes to presentations, putting yourself out there, maybe you have some sort of test or something coming up, or you're going to, meet people for the first time and try to create connections, and that makes you nervous. You're not going to die. It's going to provoke some sort of response in you because it's outside of your comfort zone. But understand that it is your mind creating an expectation that things aren't going to go well.
Yeah.
So when you're having that happen, you can tell yourself and remind yourself that this is just your mind creating one possible scenario. What's the worst that can happen? Great. But what's the best that can happen? Or what's the most neutral thing that can happen?
Yeah.
The worst that could happen when we got on this live is what, that nobody showed.
Yeah.
You know, the best was what happened.
Mm-hmm.
People showed.
Yeah.
I don't know what the neutral is, but the idea is talk to yourself, soothe yourself in whatever capacity that you can, and then when other people share their experiences, that's their experiences.
Mm-hmm.
It's your choosing whether or not you want to do this, and give it a try yourself. Now, obviously, if it's something more risky, then have the expertise that's needed, but try things out, because we're here to explore, we're here to be curious, and you won't know until you explore yourself. And when somebody else is around you expressing their fear and saying, here, take this fear, you should have it too, you have the power to say no.
Yeah.
And your immunity is your vibrational frequency. So, with all of that said, I think this was a beautiful 51 minutes-ish. Sheila, you're always a pleasure. Thank you for being part of this journey and allowing me to be more comfortable when I do these things. Sheila's been excellent in helping me grow. So thank you, Sheila.
You're welcome.
Right there.
That was her really nice way of saying I don't put up with shit. When she's like being grumpy at me, it's like, it's not like, we're good, we're steady. So I tried to have a steadiness, and as soon as you got out, you were steady. You were totally amazing.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to sign off, if I do it right.
There is no wrong.
Yes. But thank you so much for joining. The replay is there. See? I told you people say this.
I'm going to get a t-shirt soon.
Actually, okay, this wasn't planned, but I feel inspired to say she does have a sale going on if anybody's interested in trying her out, you know. So
As a coach. To be clear.
Well, what other capacity would
I don't know, it just sounded really weird.
As a coach, Sheila Williams Coaching
Yes.
currently has a sale.
Yes.
Anyways, we're going to throw our link trees and stuff on there. The idea for this was just for fun and trying it out and getting outside of my comfort zone. I love, you know, trying these things. What did I miss?
You're good.
So, yes, everybody needs a Sheila. I found one. She's right here. Thanks, Daniel, for coming. So yeah, we're gonna sign off. Check the replay out and see if you're interested in any of the upcoming things. There'll be other events as well.
Yeah.
We like to do both free and paid for events because girls gotta eat. But yes, it's a lot of fun. Thank you for the comments in the chat, for the great stories. We love you. We think you're all awesome and you're all doing great. You cannot get this wrong.
It's true.
So, with that, we're both signing off and we're sending you all lots of lovely, fun, expressive, sort of amazing kind of hugs. I don't know.
Okay, that was a little awkward. We'll work on that. Have a great Friday night. Love you guys.
Love you. Have fun.
Find a button.
Find the button.
Is that the
Bye.
button?